Hello everyone, my name is Judith Ofebiofe and my presentation for today is entitled Innovative Teaching Using Multimedia in a Problem-Based Learning Environment. This paper is authored by My New and TK New. They are faculty of the Creative Arts Department in University of Multimedia in Malaysia. Before we go through my table of content, I just want to talk a little bit about what this study tackles. So, this study tackles the crucial educational challenge of, aligning graduate skills with industry needs. So, educators and most people in the field are looking at engaging students in skills or things in the classrooms which will align directly with with industry needs, because there has been a gap in creativity, communication, and critical thinking skills amongst graduates, and this is one crucial thing that is needed in industry. And it doesn't even matter the field, any field needs these skills. And this exploration is rooted in the premise that problem based learning, enhanced by multimedia technology, not only addresses this gap, but it revolutionizes the learning experience, and it also encourages active participation and knowledge construction in a contrast a con constructivist learning model. Sorry. So now we'll go through the table of contents. I'll introduce you to the paper. We'll discuss the role of PBL, which is the same as problem based learning, and the role of multimedia. We'll do a little overview of the study, then the key findings, some educational insights. We conclude, and then we'll be done. So the paper. So the study details a project where students use multimedia to frame and solve problems. So in this research, the researchers are trying to highlight the positive impact of the use of problem-based learning and multimedia technologies impact on students' teamwork, critical thinking, and engagement in learning. And in this context, multimedia is defined broadly. So, in the class, we have started learning about a lot of principles in multimedia, like the redundancy principle, the signaling principle, the coherence principle, and all that. But in this context, multimedia is used broadly and does not specifically highlight any of these principles. But I believe that when the students executed their projects, these principles would be incorporated into it. And also, the approach presents an innovative shift, from traditional teaching methods by actively involving students in their learning process through creative and analytical creative exercises. And I believe this aligns well with the current educational goals that the educational field is gearing towards. And these are the skills I mentioned early on. And they are the same skills that the industry needs. And these are the critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, and teamwork skills as well. So I've been talking about problem-based learning for a while now, and one may ask, what is problem-based learning? So problem-based learning is an educational approach that uses complex and challenging problems as the starting point for learning. So in problem-based learning, rather than teaching relevant material um, first and then concluding with a project or case study in some classes, or rather than the lecturer just coming and then feeding the students with the kind of information that they need. With problem-based learning, it begins with the students identifying a problem first, and then these students are prompted to identify their own learning needs as they attempt to solve the problem. So that was why I mentioned the constructivist learning approach earlier. And this kind of learning approach is you learn as you go. You discover more things as you go. So, this method encourages students to engage in self directed learning. They work collaboratively in groups and they apply their knowledge to real world scenarios. Very necessary. Please take note of the real world scenarios. Or we can also use simulations to understand it better. So, with problem based learning defined, a problem based learning environment is where all the things that we have discussed right now takes place. And in such an environment, it emphasizes active learning where the focus is on the student's exploration and application of knowledge, like I have mentioned early on. And it is very essential to note that problem based learning in relation to multimedia is actually an instructional strategy where the students will engage in solving and complex problems, or even more often real world problems, with the use of multimedia. And in this case, it enhances their learning experience by providing a rich array of resources and tools that can simulate real world problems and their solutions in a way that traditional text cannot. So with multimedia, they are able to create pictures, videos, interactive content. If it's a history class, they are able to create content with multimedia and all those things in order to, you know, better understand and solve the problem, and also create their own learning track in solving these problems. So, in a multimedia enhanced problem based learning setting, like I mentioned, students might use interactive simulations like videos, audios, and graphics to explore and solve the problems. And we also have to know that the multimedia components make the scenario more engaging and realistic, which can help improve students understand and retain the information or the subject matter the more. And we can all testify that students learn better from research and from our reading. Students learn better when there's a combination of images, audio, and text, rather than just maybe text or audio. Even if I forget the text, I'll have a picture of what I learned about. Or even if I forget about the picture, I would remember the audio. Okay, what did this instructor say, or what was said in this video, or that. And also, I believe that this approach also helps in making the universal design learning approach stand firm in the educational field, because it's looking at inclusivity and diversity in learning as well. So it will apply to students who cannot see, students who cannot hear. When all these elements are put into such an environment, it makes it easier for such students to learn like every normal student as well. So we would talk a little bit about the study, the methodology, and just do an overview of the study. So the study involved a practical project based approach within a PBL framework. So, over a 14-week semester, students groups at the Multimedia University engaged in creating CD-ROM application, and this task required them to harness multimedia technologies, gather resources, convert media to digital platforms, and author the content using Macromedia Director. And one may ask what Macromedia Director is. A Macromedia Director was a multimedia application authoring platform created by Macromedia, but now it's even part of Adobe, and it was widely used for creating interactive content such as games, e-learning applications, and interactive presentations. So the researchers chose this as a great tool for the students to author their content, and it was capable of handling various media types, including bitmaps, graphics, audio, animation, and video, which could be integrated into a single interactive and platforms. And then the focus was on an interactive multimedia course for second year students taking their Bachelor of Multimedia degree. So what were the key findings? Before that, I would like to talk a little bit about the kind of projects that some of the students engaged in. Some of the students engaged in racism issues in Malaysia, how mixed race people are able to navigate life in a place such like Malaysia. Some people also tackled some tower at Malaysia and how they feel the architecture poses as a problem in that area. So there were a lot of other issues that were tackled. And um, what were the findings from the study? So during the study, the researchers reported that students demonstrated heightened engagement and developed a deeper understanding of the subject matter through the multimedia projects. And notably, the projects fostered greater creativity, with students reporting a sense of motivation and enjoyment. They were motivated to, solve a real world problem, even in the classroom. And then there was the ability to apply concepts in a practical setting, which led to an enhanced grasp of the material. So, this is a testament to the effectiveness of multimedia in education. So the key findings are the integration of multimedia in education enhances learning. Like I just mentioned, it motivated the students to do more and also, dive deeply into the subject matter. They were really motivated to, stay and they it boosted their engagement and problem solving abilities and teamwork as well, which is really important in the educational setting and in the real world as well. Then multimedia presented itself as a versatile educational tool. So the research demonstrated the broad applicability of multimedia education, and it facilitated a more interactive and engaging learning experience. Another key finding is the positive impact on critical thinking and creativity. So, this approach of using both the PBL and the multimedia promoted critical thinking and creativity essential skills, and which are really needed. And the kind of skills that I'm talking about are the teamwork skills, um even the critical thinking skills itself, the problem solving skills that I was talking about, and we could even add computational skills as well. Other findings include a structured approach to project development. So with this finding, the researchers outlined a structured framework for developing and implementing multimedia projects with a PBL context, ensuring a systematic learning progression. So in this case, multimedia was a great tool in helping in a PBL based environment, and it helped with structuring how to develop a project and how to solve a problem. So let's say when a problem is presented to you, so with the racism issue I mentioned that one group tackled like this, you don't just start solving the problem before you identify the problem. The students went through a structured approach. They identified the problem, they were able to conduct their needs assessment, and they were able to go through step by step in order to get they did investigations, they had to write a proposal and all that. So this was a structured approach to project development and even project management as well. And then the last key finding that is that the feedback and evaluation indicates success. So the students' feedback and evaluations obviously reflected positively on this innovative teaching method, and it suggests the effectiveness of the marriage between PBL and multimedia learning in an educational environment. And these are tools that will enhance learning outcomes and student satisfaction. So, some educational insights. So, from all that we have discussed, we would like to, pick, for lack of a better word, I'll use moral lessons for this study. So, multimedia as a catalyst for engagement. So, the integration of various forms of multimedia, that is, videos, audios, animation, sorry, in PBL can significantly increase student engagement and motivation, which is going to, make the learning process more enjoyable and effective. And like I've been mentioning from the beginning of this presentation, it's also a great way for skill development. Through the process of working with multimedia in a PBL context, students can develop a wide range of skills, including technical skills related to multimedia productions, as soft skills like the teamwork that I mentioned, the communication skills, and problem solving skills, and critical thinking skills as well. And also, another educational insight I got from it is the enhanced learning outcome, which we have already spoken about. Then some challenges and considerations. Obviously, this research has shown that multimedia and problem based learning work effectively to enhance learning outcomes in a classroom. But and it would be a great way to implement this, this approach in a classroom. But it is really essential to consider that if we are to successfully implement multimedia in problem based learning environments, then we are also going to have to consider challenges such as ensuring access to necessary technology for all students. We are supposed to provide adequate and enough support and training for both students and teachers, because it's not all teachers that are well trained to use some form of technology, and even in multimedia in itself. And while reading the paper, I was thinking that, okay, fine, the researchers had that form of training, but if it is left to just the teachers, then they will need that form of training as well. So, in order for this kind of approach to be successful in learning environments, then training and support should be given to both students and teachers. And then the project should be carefully designed, to align with learning objectives, not to get students distracted from what the instructor wants the outcome of the class to be, but also they'll be able to grasp the kind of information that they are expected to grasp and be also able to apply it in the real world. Then the future direction in education, the positive impact of multimedia in PBL highlighted in this research has suggested a move towards a more interactive student-centered learning environment in the future, which would leverage technology to meet educational goals in innovative ways. So, in conclusion, this paper has presented and discussed the use of multimedia in a problem based learning environment to equip students with higher order thinking skills and problem solving skills. And it is essential to note that this is a student learning approach which allows them to construct their own knowledge and understanding to determine their own goals. And this is also known as the constructivist learning approach. And also, by using a multimedia project, we can move towards the constructivist learning mode the more, which is student centric. And also, I want to add that the study has underscored the transformative potential of integrating multimedia into PBL, and it results in a dynamic and an enriched learning environment where students are not just passive recipients, like I mentioned early on, not the lecturer just, or the teacher or instructor just standing there and feeding you with information, but also they become active participants in the learning journey, and also the use of multimedia in PBL aligns with the digital literacy of today's generation, and will prepare a lot of students with the critical and creative and technical skills that are necessary for industry or the modern workplace as well. So this is my reference, and thank you very much for taking time to listen to my presentation. I hope to hear your thoughts on this subject matter. Thank you very much, and do have a great week.